Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 97 today for the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because heading into this final, penultimate round, 2 rounds to go in this season, there are only 7 points in it between myself and Pierre Gasly. It looks like it's going to be a bit more of a 2-horse race between both of us in aarava Archer Racing. Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, they're there, but I think with only 2 rounds to go, it does seem like it is a straight fight between us two teammates, which I thought was going to be the case all along this season, but at times, obviously, Sainz did top the standings. You saw Leclerc was only 1 or 2 points off the top, but in the last few races, the chaos has ensued in the last 3. Well, we've had Monza, Singapore, Japan, and it's really turned everything on its head. I thought it was going to go one way with us being completely out of the title fight pre-Monza. We then clawed our way back in, and the Japan, it all kind of unraveled for Sainz and Leclerc, obviously, with 2 DNFs in a row for the Ferrari man, and just a very dismal race for Sainz with a big mistake at Japan, and not such a great one either at Singapore. So 7 points in it between myself and Gasly, 2 rounds to go. So this race will very much set up the kind of tone and feeling of that final race at Sao Paulo, Brazil. Very excited. And Mexico, I fancy my chances. I do really enjoy the circuit. Didn't really quite take to it when it first came back to F1 and on to the F1 game, but as of late on this game, really do enjoy it, and our car is really well suited. Our car's decent in the straight line, I would say. Very good in the corners now, especially mid-corner where you need that in Sector 2 or Mexico. So looking forward to our chances versus Gasly, but knowing obviously him all season, he's been so bloody consistent, so quick at times. So let's not rest on our laurels in terms of that, but let's go on into Saturday then and see how we do over 1 lap. At the moment, it's sunny skies, but I can say there is a forecast for some rain later on here on Saturday. None for Sunday, thankfully, in a way, but Saturday may just change up the grid order if there's some rain in that crucial top 10 shootout. But in Q1, all calm, all sunny, I can get the lap in, and we can get through into Q2, no issue. But Q2 is when everything's going to get a little bit interesting, because as we enter this session, it's overcast, we go out straight away, and the rain is already coming down. So we're here on a set of soft tyres trying to qualify for Q3, but obviously this will be the tyre we start on, and everyone will get a chance to put in a time on a set of dries, which we do nice and early. But throughout the entire lap, I was seeing the spits of rain on the halo and chassis, so it was a bit slippery out there, but we set a very decent time. I think we were literally the first car out there, so I think that's why we're the quickest, no surprise. But it's a massive calamity for the likes of Verstappen down outside the top 10, the 2 racing points. So all 3 of those cars may be out, and we fast forward through, no one improves their times because it starts fully raining at the end of the session. So that's it. Verstappen is, for once, the Mercedes that's out, and Hamilton's actually into the top 10. Fiat does a great job in the Renault once again for the 2nd year in a row, I think, in the top 10 at Mexico. And both racing points way down the order. Stroll P14, I think Albon P15 or 16, so even worse. So that's a calamity for a car that should be going well around here. You know, I expect Racing Point to go well, as well as McLaren really in straight line, but it seems like, yeah, a bit of a mistake there by the green and pink outfit as it is right now in this career mode of ours with the Aston Martin livery on that car. But we're now into the top 10 shootout, and I was very shocked at this very topsy-turvy weather here we had at Mexico. Like, I thought, are we at Silverstone? Because we went from having overcast conditions, literally in Q2, sunny conditions in Q1, to full wet here. Like, we started having some rain at the end of Q2, which I thought, okay, it's going to be intermediates then in Q3, but it was full wet tyres, so that was a bit of a shock. It was a very poor lap. It was a very slow lap. It felt really quite horrendous, actually, around a circuit like this to be on the full wets. Thankfully, though, by the end of the session, it's actually dry enough now to go back down to the intermediates. So we set a lap time now that's going to be a good 2 to 3 seconds quicker than our lap time on the full wets. And what's it going to be? This is where we'll start on the starting grid tomorrow. It's P5. I think that's decent enough. I was kind of scared it would be even worse, but shock horror. He does it again, time and time again. Mr. Qualifying Man himself, our teammate Pierre Gasly, is on pole position, a very crucial pole position maybe, as he's 7 points adrift. So if he went on to win and I came in 2nd place, that'd be very, very important to level the points going into the final race. Sainz does a good job in 3rd. Like I said, Norris in the McLaren does well in 3rd place there. Surprised to see the Ferraris down the order, but it looks like Antonio Giovinazzi Giovinazzi didn't even get a lap time in on intermediate, so I think the Ferrari guys maybe didn't send them out quick enough at the very end of the session to get that lap on intermediate. So quite a few people tripping up over themselves. We'll see how it goes in the race. Should be dry, but the race is very chaotic, so I'm sure people will be tripping up over themselves in the race despite it being bone dry. Let's go to that second last race of the season.
Welcome along to the most populous city in North America and home now to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula One calendar. So who, I wonder, will the crowd cheer on today to the top step of the podium? We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6 mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. They must be starting to feel the pressure at this point, and surely there's a real shot at the title on the cards here, but one error at the wrong time, well, that could throw it all away.
True enough, but that pressure goes both ways. A failure or a mistake at this point could spell the end of their championship hopes, but they know their rivals are in exactly the same situation. Let's just hope the title is decided in the purest of ways.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, the owner driver, and Leclerc, Bottas, Giovinazzi, Hamilton, and Daniel Kvyat. Verstappen, Perez, Lance Stroll, and Matsushita, Ocon, Albon, George Russell, and Nicholas Latifi, Aitken, De Vries, Magnussen, and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Right, so we have a very important race on our hands ahead of us to set up the finale at Sao Paulo, and our teammate is in the best position possible on pole position. We're in P5 still, no grid penalties to talk about, thankfully. Hopefully there won't be into the next race and final one as well, and we can just get a clean title fight and a clean race between everyone, because obviously there's still other positions up for grabs. You've got Verstappen, Sainz, and Leclerc, all could very much get third place and also close the gap to P2, so it's going to be quite fine margins for that, but and mathematically, obviously, Sainz is still in the championship fight, but as I said, it really does look like it's become a bit of a 2-horse race between us two aarava Arch racing cars. Strategy-wise, it's going to be a 2-stop here around Mexico. I really do love it around here in terms of the kind of, aggressive strategy either way. Even going conservative, you still do a 2-stop. It's just about which compound you use. I'm going to switch out a little bit and go for the soft, medium to soft, as I usually do, to try and end the race off on the soft compound tar, lower fuel, so it means if we need to try and make some last-minute overtakes to get, crucial positions, maybe even for the race win, we're going to be there in the best possible way on really low fuel and have that fresh compound to use at the very end of this race. But the middle part might be difficult. Going to do some damage limitation on the mediums, where others are going to be maybe quicker when they're using the soft compound once again for that second stint. But it's going to be a crucial getaway here. Long run to turn 1. But here we go then. 14 races gone. The second last race is upon us here at the Mexican Grand Prix. We go to fire lights and we are underway, and it's a good initial launch from us, but then as we climb up the gears, the other guys speed up a bit, deploying ERS, I'm sure, all the way down this straight. We try and get a bit of a tow from Ricciardo. We're all bunching up on the inside. We're going to pull to the outside and try a cheeky little move, and can we get some positions on the McLaren? Down the inside we go. The two Red Bulls are side by side. Norris is a little bit tight on that second corner, and we're able to dance around the outside, and we're up into P4. Gasly still leads the way, but look at Sainz now having to attack Ricciardo, and Ricciardo really causing issues for Sainz. As I said, he's mathematically still in the championship fight, but things like this are not helping. A poor race last time, same again with Singapore, and then this race, his teammate is holding him up and actually going aggressive with him. And meanwhile, behind us, we're looking at a replay here, because Verstappen, I think, is up to P6 already, or P5 even, with a stonking getaway. Really great launch. Overtakes Hamilton and the Ferrari. I think one of the Ferraris of Giovinazzi very easily. Then goes around the outside of not only one, but two cars here. The AlphaTauri then gets down the inside of Leclerc. That is, I think, on the right. And you can see, look at that momentum he gets there. The same sort of move I made on Norris. And yeah, there he is in P6 then, just behind Lando Norris, who's in P5. So great getaway from the Dutchman. We talked about after Singapore, could Verstappen be in the title fight mix? Well, at least with this, at the moment, he's getting in the mix in terms of the championship order, and he's definitely going to be closing up on Sainz and Leclerc. I mean, he's already ahead of Leclerc. He's right behind Sainz in terms of the standings, and now he's gone and overtaken Lando Norris there onto the brand new lap, and behind him, his teammate is also trying to do battle. Hamilton trying his best to go around the outside of the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, the two Racing Points are fighting each other. They're still behind Giovinazzi, though, after such a poor qualifying. You can see they're the last cars in that pack before you get the kind of lower pack headed by the Alpine cars, but you've got one of the Racing Points trying to go toe-to-toe with Antonio Giovinazzi. I think that's Alexander Albon in the Racing Point. No, it's actually Stroll, my bad. I just saw with his helmet, it's Lance Stroll. So Stroll trying to lead the way by example for the Racing Point team, but he's still having to fight with Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi, last race's winner, struggled in qualifying, struggling in this race, it would seem, but he's really giving Stroll a good fight. But look at that, Stroll comes back at him down the inside. Big lock-up from the Canadian into the stadium section. They're still side-by-side and at it, wheel-to-wheel stuff for pretty much now. This is a whole lap, this is, at Mexico. Brilliant to see. They swing through the final corner, but meanwhile, we cut back to more important things at hand, because at the top for P2 and P3, the Red Bull cars may be swapping positions. Sainz with DRS goes for the move. Ricciardo, quite defensive actually, really gives his teammate a good squeeze, and here we are arriving on the scene, and they're holding each other up. Ricciardo's so slow out that corner. We're almost pushing him through the corner. We open up DRS, pull to the right. Verstappen's there with us, and he joins us, and we go sailing around the outside of two Red Bull cars. It's a big old dive. It's a crucial one to get up into P2 of the Mexican Grand Prix, 2 for 1, and Verstappen's just done the same thing. Verstappen is on fire this race, from P11, remember, or 12 even, up to P3 in a matter of 4 laps. Really stonking stuff there from the Dutchman, but not too bad from ourselves, I would say, as well. Crucial overtake, double pass on the Red Bull cars, and now we're in P2, and we go chasing after Pierre Gasly, and as you see that very nice transition on the main straight, we move on then 4 laps later, lap number 9, and it's taken us 4 laps, but we slowly eroded down that 3-second gap to within 1 second, but it didn't happen instantly. Did have to really dig deep and push hard, but Gasly now struggling a bit on the tyres, as the AI usually do at the end of the stints compared to the player, and so we're catching up. But can we try and maybe make an undercut work? We can't, because on lap 10, Gasly comes in. I legit was planning on coming on lap 10. My official pit window is actually lap 10. My engineer literally said, come in this lap at the start of lap 10. And to my surprise, Gasly came in. I've never seen an AI teammate do that, where the game's told me that your pit window's open. Usually that means your teammate has been told to wait one more lap. But alas, he came in. I guess it makes sense. He's the race leader, but he's also obviously the number 1 car on the track, obviously in the team. Obviously, it's an inter-team battle, but that may just be very crucial. You know, that may be a little underhand tactic from Gasly to, you know, it made sure he was going to come in on the lap I wanted to kind of annoy me a little bit, because we did need the undercut, because my tyres, my fronts were starting to really wear out quite a fair bit. And so as we come out now, we pit on the same lap of Verstappen. We're slow away, and Gasly is through, still in first place. But look at Verstappen, even though we're deploying ERS to that Mercedes car, looking lightning quick out of the box on a set of soft tyres. And you can see on the top left, I am the only car in the vicinity on the medium compound tyre, so that may just hurt us a bit on traction. And you can see that straight away as Verstappen goes for an overtake. He dives around the outside. It's a big lock-up from him on the front left, but he's able to still steer the car through. We have to give him some space, and he's there on the inside. You can see every single traction zone. He's got the advantage because he's on the quicker compound tyre, so it makes sense. He's in a decent enough car, of course, and so he just gets through. We try our best, but I just can't get the nose in on the inside in Sector 2 there, and we have to give up the position. We're down to P4 then, as Verstappen is up into P3 on the road as it stands. I think one of the cars yet to pit in this Grand Prix, but eventually Gasly will be in P1, Verstappen will be P2, and it'll be myself in P3 with Sainz behind, and Ricciardo a little bit has now gone away in the safety car. Is now out because Nicholas Latifi is out of this Grand Prix. The Alfa Romeo car retires, so we see the safety car once again. I think that's like 3 races in a row now. We've had at least one safety car. Of course, Singapore, we had 3 in one go. in one race. But Japan, we had one, and now we have one here in Mexico. But this time it's just for a mechanical failure, I would say, as Latifi just parks up, I think, somewhere around the circuit. So safety car, interesting. So bunches up. Doesn't really give anyone a strategy advantage because everyone is already pit. So it's not too bad. The only thing is it does bunch us all up. So we have a good chance maybe to attack Verstappen, maybe even Gasly. Let's see how this restart goes for us. We've got a slight disadvantage maybe because of our tyre compound, and also a little bit awkwardly we actually lose Verstappen a bit there with the gap, but then we accelerate and we actually get a great launch actually. So actually falling behind for Verstappen for a little bit actually helped us out there, so we get a good launch, but Verstappen gets an even better one, and that Mercedes car is so slippery in a straight line that he's going for a move for P1. Can we try and overtake Gasly though? This could be crucial as Gasly locks up and almost hits us. We have to take avoiding action. There is some contact. Is that with Sainz? Maybe with Gasly. Has Gasly got damage? Either way, we're down to P7 now in a flash because Gasly was going to just career into our front right. We had to take avoiding action, and that off-put us completely, and so we've been swamped by now the Ferraris. The Racing Points are both ahead of us. They come out of nowhere, by the way, in this race. I think they must have gained some sort of advantage in the safety car, potentially, because I don't know how they've jumped both Ferraris now all of a sudden and are with us fighting the McLarens. As we go down the inside of Albon, we squeeze them out. That's a crucial overtake because we need to be recovering these positions and gaining on the fight ahead as Sainz, with damage, is holding up Norris and Lance Stroll here. So this is very crucial. They're going to be 3 wide nearly into this right-hander. So difficult to even do 2x2, let alone 3 wide. And Stroll and Norris are still fighting, but look at this. We're getting held up so much. These guys, it's a great scrap, but look how much time we're losing to the leaders. Verstappen and Gasly are walking away now. Sainz comes into the pit. I think that was Albon who got a great launch on the final corner. He's re-overtaken us. Where has our straight line speed gone? As the Ferrari's through, we're deploying ERS all the way down this straight. We're back down to P7. This has been such a chaotic lap. We go easy on the brakes. We try and just roll the car through to kind of squeeze Leclerc out, trying to remain as calm as possible in the cockpit, but it's difficult to when all the cars around us are fighting so hard. I mean, look at the ahead of us. Stroll and Norris are still going at it. Stroll gets the move, so it's Verstappen in the lead, Gasly in second, and a massive gap, as you can see on the mini-map. And then you've got Albon, Stroll, Norris, myself, Leclerc, Giovinazzi, and Sainz. Well, 3 horrendous races in a row. He has damage. He's pit early. He's pretty much now out of this race and probably completely out of the title fight, I would say. Verstappen and Leclerc maybe just hanging on mathematically still, but it's still very much between myself and Gasly. To that effect, I'm a little bit worried. We need to get a move on because Gasly right now is in P2. I need to at least close this gap to do some damage limitation. If I'm not going to be able to overtake Gasly this race and get a further points advantage, we need to try and do the most to try and limit that damage in the championship. So we go and chase after Norris. So their racing points have gone away, so he's kind of a little bit vulnerable here into turn 1. Easy does it, as close as you want on the left-hand side with the side pod to left tyre contact there, and also a lock-up for good measure, and he gets a good exit. We're able to defend against him and hold down the P5, and so that's a decent move. And now we can try and use some clean air to, I don't think close up the racing points, which we don't on lap 21, but just basically keep them honest and keep that gap and just wait for our time, which is going to be that 3rd and final stint on the soft compound when everyone is on mediums. So Gasly's in lap 21 way earlier than I will. I'll be coming in around lap 24 or 25. So this is where we maybe try and make the difference. If we can try and keep pace up on this worn set of mediums when everyone else is onto a new set of mediums, it will be very, very useful for us. And we actually go out and set 2 green sectors, red in the last, but not too bad in terms of pace. The tyres are going off a fair bit. Tyre temps are all pretty good though. Lap 23, doing the best job we can in P2 on the road right now, just trying to maximise this stint. But lap 25, the tyres finally start going off. A wash of understeer comes through in the front end, so it's very much time to come in. But we're leading the race right now. We pit in from the lead, and we're going to go onto a set of soft tyres. But Verstappen, at the moment, really has taken over this Grand Prix. He's in the lead. He's got the fast lap of the Grand Prix now, and he's looking comfy versus Gasly. He's a few seconds ahead, so it's still not out of the question. Maybe Gasly could do something in this race to maybe go for the win. I hope not for my sake, because it looks like we're not gonna get anywhere near to him. Maybe, I mean, never say never. Let's see how this goes. It might just be a mega stint for us on the soft compound. Let's see how we go. But first of all, we have to go and chase after and overtake the 2 Racing Point cars, and we're only just ahead of the McLaren there. You just saw as we exit the pit lane. But lap 29 then. So 4 laps later, after we've made the pit stop, we've finally caught up to Albon. You can see on the top left and right, we've already stolen the fast lap of the Grand Prix away from Verstappen, and we're looking likely to set another faster lap. So pretty much from lap 27, I've been setting purple lap times every single lap. It's green in the last as we get held up a little bit by Albon, and it's also my weakest sector here on this track. But the first and second sector, we are flying. The pace is there with acceleration, ERS, rich mix, plenty of rich mix after the safety car period, of course. And then also sector 2, the soft compound is coming in clutch. I mean, look at the acceleration and the gap we've already built to Albon in the matter of 2 corners. So we are in the business here. We are going to recover. We are going to be able to get P3, I hope, as we catch up to Stroll, setting another fast lap of the Grand Prix. We're just literally banging them in for 5 laps straight here, and we're now looking likely to overtake the Canadian. Not quite in sector 1 straight away, but sector 2, can we do something maybe as we try and just hustle and harry him left and right, try and maybe find an opening on the outside? Maybe. No, doesn't quite work, but we'll just be patient. We can afford to be a little bit patient because, to be honest, I think the gap to Gasly, it's a bit too much. I don't think we'll be catching that up. It's, 4 seconds right now. That means I have to gain a second a lap, which is not happening anyways, let alone in clean air at the moment. We go down the inside of Stroll. It's quite fine on the left-hand side there, but we just want to get the job done as quickly as we can and then push away, because I know I have the tyre advantage. So even in a straight line, he's not going to be able to re-overtake us, because through the last corner, we get a great launch. We get a little bit of a warning for a little bit of a tap with Stroll. I think that was on the rear end when he was trying his best to still have his nose in the stadium section, but in the end, it's futile. And so we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, but it's going to be Max Verstappen that goes towards getting another race win. I think is that his 3rd race win of this season? I think it is, because I think he won obviously the first race of the season. He won Singapore, and then he's won this one. So kudos to Verstappen. He's really come in clutch for Mercedes. He wins Mexican Grand Prix. Gasly in second. Ourselves, we recover to a very decent 3rd place. To say we have been pushed down to P7 after that kerfuffle at turn 1 with our very own teammate. So it means going into the final race of the season, we will lead the championship by very slim margins, but it's all to play for in that final race.
It's victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, when you overtake that many people, I'd certainly hope you'd win the race. Their car was really effective in the slipstream here today, and the team will be pleased that they didn't cook the engine, given how long they were spending in the hot air behind other cars. They had a lot of confidence to push their tyres hard as well, especially going into the corners, which allowed for some late braking and some exciting passes.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
You got to honestly think Verstappen's done so well this season. Hamilton, we know that in this career mode of ours, he has had a stinker. He's really not been the same Lewis Hamilton we know in real life for about 3 seasons now in this career mode. Where would Mercedes be if they had 2 quick drivers? It's actually the real life argument, ironically, that Red Bull have, but we've just got it with Mercedes. What would happen if Mercedes actually had a second driver that was as quick as Verstappen? Because at the moment, Hamilton, P11, just not doing enough for them. I mean, Mercedes could very much be fully in the constructors fight if they had 2 quick drivers, because Verstappen now is up into 3rd place in the standings. Verstappen is only 9 points off the championship lead. He could still very much... Actually, yeah, this is actually bonkers. This is... Okay, so it's a 2-way fight between myself and Gasly. 5 points in it. That's going to be such an interesting fight for the last race. But let's just appreciate this. Verstappen out of nowhere. He was sitting in P7 and 8 for a lot of this season. But these last few races, he's been so consistent. He's got 2 wins in the last 3 races or so, I think it is. And he's somehow managed to find himself now in a late championship charge. 9 points off the top. He's actually the only non-aarava racing car left in the fight. Sainz and Leclerc, after a pretty shoddy race for both of them, they're mathematically out. That's it. They're not going to win the championship. So the reigning world champion, Sainz, he's not going to win it again. Leclerc, a former champion, of course, in this career mode, not in the fight anymore. Verstappen Verstappen, though, one of my old teammates, again, still is in there. And that's actually quite, no, that's completed it now. Literally, the top 5 in this championship are either my old teammates or old championship rivals or my current teammates. So, bonkers stuff. It's unbelievable how this has worked out in the game. I guess the AI, I feel like there must be like a form guide of when AI start doing well, they just continue to do well, because it can't be a coincidence that all 5 of these guys are people we've dealt with before in championship fights, and it can't be a coincidence that Hamilton just simply can't improve. Like, I really thought this season he would improve. He would match Verstappen and the Mercedes car improving would bring him back up, but he's low down in P13 with only 24 points to his name. It's really quite bonkers. It's been insane to see how the AI have been, you know, growing and reacting quite naturally and kind of, you know, on their own as we've gone on through this career mode series. But yeah, there we go, guys. That is it then. On towards the final race at the Brazilian Grand Prix in a few days' time. That video will be coming out, and there's only 5 points in it between myself and Pierre Gasly, 9 to my old teammate Max Verstappen as well, who could be an outside dark horse shout. Never say never in Formula 1. But guys, if you did enjoy this episode, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.